Hello everyone, welcome to Excellence IAS Academy. In this video, we will discuss RBI's recent intervention in Forex market. Let us discuss. Before diving into this particular issue, we will discuss some of basic concepts here. The individuals called foreign portfolio investors try to invest in the Indian economy. Whenever they try to invest, they brings dollar to the Indian economy, right? They can't invest in dollar, but they have to invest in Indian rupee, right? Whenever they brings dollar to the Indian economy, they will sell it in the Indian market and buy Indian rupee. They buy Indian rupee. In this condition, what happens? When more foreign portfolio investors are coming to Indian market, they started to buy Indian rupee to invest in Indian equities, right? So whenever they tries to buy more Indian rupees, the demand for the Indian rupees increases. Which lead to strengthening of a Indian rupee, right? But whenever the foreign portfolio investors tries to withdraw their investments in the Indian equities, at that time what happens? They withdraw dollar from the Indian market. In earlier it was inflow of dollar. Whenever they tries to withdraw their investments in the Indian equity, the outflow of a dollar happens. Whenever the outflow of dollar happens, they sell in rupee in the Indian market, right? Whenever they sell Indian rupee in the Indian market, they buy back the dollar. Whenever the more foreign portfolio investors are withdrawing their investment in the Indian market, that time the outflow of dollar happens. Recently, the more foreign portfolio investors are withdrawn their investments in the Indian economy. Why? We already discussed this particular issue in two videos. One is hawkish approach and also in depreciation of rupee. In these videos, we discussed how and why the foreign portfolio investors are withdrawn from the Indian market. So whenever the outflow of dollar happens, they are selling more Indian rupee Indian market. In this context, the demand for the Indian rupee is decreasing, right? It is obvious. Whenever the demand for the Indian rupees decreases, lead to depreciation of Indian rupee. Recently, depreciation of rupee happened and it's happening. To prevent this depreciation of rupee, both government and RBI take some measures, right? Especially RBI. RBI sometimes intervenes in the Forex market and tries to keep balance between the exchange rate between dollar and the Indian rupee. Recently, RBI intervened and started to sell the dollar in the Indian market. Why RBI sell the dollar? Because it holds the dollar in the Forex reserve. What is this Forex reserve? This Forex reserve consisting of foreign currency assets, consisting of other foreign currencies and gold and SDR and reverse tranche position in IMF. This SDR is a reserve assets in the IMF. RBI entrusted to manage the Forex reserve according to RBI Act of 1934. So because of this, RBI maintains the foreign exchange reserves, and this foreign exchange reserve can be used to meet our import bill. But whenever there is a crisis, the demand for the dollar increasing trend, depreciation rupee is happening, RBI steps in and start to sell the dollar. And what is happening recently? The rupee is depreciating, the demand for the dollar is more in the Indian economy. Because of this, RBI is selling the dollar. Whenever the RBI sells the dollar in the Indian market, it buy back the Indian rupee, right? Whenever the buyback Indian rupee happens, the depreciation rupee decreases and will lead to strengthening the Indian rupee. but it is a short-term goal. Whenever this happens, in long term, it will lead to liquidity crisis as well. Liquidity crisis. Whenever the liquidity crisis happens, there will be a hindering of the growth as well. Hindering the growth. To prevent this, RBI takes some measures in the future as well for the long-term goal. And recently, RBI announced to conduct a currency swap. What is currency swap? Currency swap is nothing but exchanging of different currencies. It is exchanging of principal amount or interest, or exchanging of both interest as well as principal amount in a different currencies. Different currencies. For example, in 2019, RBI conducted currency swap with a Japan's central bank. Japan's central bank. At this context, RBI bought dollar and sold Japanese yen. This is the exchange of currencies, different foreign currencies. Recently, in 2025, RBI announced to sell $10 billion, means buy back $10 billion from the market and sell Indian rupee worth of $10 billion in the Indian market. Why? We already discussed RBI selling more dollar in the Indian economy and sucking out of money from the Indian market. But in long term, it will lead to liquidity crisis, right? So in order to keeping the future prospects, RBI for 3 years period, buying dollar from the economy in the future and selling the rupee in the future for 3 years period. So infusing liquidity back to the market, right? After 3 years period, this $10 billion will be resell by the RBI to that particular commercial banks in India who have sold this particular $10 billion to the RBI. RBI after 3 years period will resell this $10 billion to the particular banks, commercial banks, and buy back the Indian rupee after 3 years period. But up to 3 years period, RBI will keep infusing the liquidity in the Indian market to ensure that there is enough liquidity in the market to have a growth in the market as well. This is with respect to RBI intervention in the Forex and also with respect to currency swap as well. So hope you got idea what is foreign exchange reserves and how RBI controls the foreign exchange rate, and also you got idea about the currency swap as well. Thank you.